the country is in a terrible, terrible state. Although we go on projecting a very wonderful state of economic growth that we're talking, but that has to be measured in the number of jobs they create. Actually, when they say that we are raising GDP, they are doing two things. One, of course, they say the poverty will go down. Then they say that the hunger will disappear only if the GDP goes up, and of course, there will be job creation. In the last 12 years, the GDP grew over at an average rate which exceeds 8% annually. It should have created 8% annually is a very, very good growth rate. It should have created jobs. In the last 12 years, we have created only 1.5 crore jobs, whereas we were supposed to create 1.25 crore jobs every year. So the GDP still has gone up, but there are no jobs. This is what is called jobless growth. So we are into an era of jobless growth, and I think if the hills were to be redesigned or to be redeveloped in a manner that development goes or becomes a kind of something that's shared by everyone, the job creation can be done in that particular sense. The income generation can be done at that particular level. We need to relook at the Himalayas. We need to relook at the development model, and I think we need to rephrase. And I think the time has come, and we need to redesign that model. So therefore, ladies and gentlemen, we took this opportunity, Dialogue Highway. I'm very glad took this initiative. We joined hands with Suruni University. You were very honored when our Honorable Justice agreed to come and be the chief guest here. We're very honored when Mr. Rajiv Mehta also agreed to come here, and of course with all other dignitaries coming here. It shows that they also feel equally concerned. Of course, they were more concerned than us, but we just want to ensure, sir, that we would like to join hands. We'd like to support you. We'd like to provide all kinds of support that we can. As far as limited understanding or limited ability we have got, we'll try to reframe a model of development, which I think somewhere, some place, I'm sure will make a difference. Now, please don't worry. The problem I just want to share with you, one of the problems, and I wind up with that, is somehow we have been made to believe, that I'm an individual. What can I do? You feel helpless because your voice is alone. I'm sure if Justice Swatantha Kumar also would have thought like that, we wouldn't have had the kind of rulings that we have seen, the remarkable rulings that we have seen. When you say that you are alone, and so therefore you are helpless, I remember I asking this question in one of my talks in Africa. A lady got up, African lady got up and said, whenever you feel, and I want to share that with you, she said, whenever you feel that you are alone and you are helpless, just imagine if you were to sleep that night, close your room, close your windows and doors, just sleep with one mosquito. That mosquito will make hell of your life, just in one night. Are you worse than mosquitoes? That's the question she asked. Are you worse than even mosquitoes? So I think that gives us a strength that at least let's do individually. 1 + 1 becomes 11. So in this group, sir, we are a very small group, but we thought we will take that challenge. We will make that effort. We will try to take the first step. And then, of course, I'm sure people would join us and people would raise. Suruni University was the first to join with us. We're also very happy that FAO India has also, voluntarily come forward to help us. And Action Aid societies like civil society groups like Action Aid. And I think now, as you say, kafla chalta jayega, and carbon badta jayega. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Sharma, for your enlightening address, for simplifying the concept of GDP for us, and for showing us all the mirror of today's development model. The environment vision in the Constitution was introduced after the introduction of 42nd Amendment and Article 48A, Part 44A, and Article 51AG. Now for the views on the topic of the day, we have amongst us an institutional builder, Honorable Mr. Justice Swatantha Kumar, Chairman, National Green Tribunal. The Honorable Chief Guest of today's event has not only been the Judge of Supreme Court of India, Chief Justice Bombay High Court, Judge Delhi High Court, Judge Punjab and Haryana High Court, but has also been additional and session judge Himachal Pradesh High Court. So it would be an honor to welcome him back to Himachal Pradesh. My lord, it is the state of Himachal Pradesh from where the journey of 1,000 miles began. So may I request you all for a big round of applause for honoring the Subhash back to Himachal Pradesh, honoring Mr. Subhash Kumar with his proactive intervention on environmental issues has not only made us all alive to the issue of environmental degradation, but has also very effectively ensured that the judicial verdicts are translated into meaningful action on the ground to bring about the positive change by conserving the ecology of Himalayas. May I request Honorable the Chief Guest to share his pearls of wisdom with us all. Sir.
My esteemed brother, Justice Bhalla, Mr. Sharma, Mr. Khosla, Chairman of Movement, Pro-Vice Chancellor, other distinguished persons on the dais, distinguished academicians, scientists, students, ladies, and first of all, I must highly appreciate the effort that has been put up by an academic institution like the university here, the Dialogue Highway, the Tsunami University, Center for Research on Himalayan Sustainable Development, and all other people who have joined to work on an aspect which probably needs the greatest attention of all concerned. And I also thank them for having provided me with an opportunity to speak to you and share my views with you this morning. When I was looking at the timetable which is prepared for the day, I thought it was over 11:30 and I was expected to leave. And the session was over. But then I asked the organizers and I was supposed to be speaking for 10 to 15 minutes. So then all the way I thought, since I have the advantage of being with you people, I might well share some of my experiences with you rather than telling the most known people as to what Himalayan affair is about. Now, I would be touching upon on very ordinary things which we need to look into. You know, I have seen Justice Bhalla practicing when I was in Punjab Haryana High Court. He had that essence, which I would call an environmental essence. And I had the occasion to listen to Mr. Sharma for the first time today. I think it's an excellent exposition of what one should speak to the people. Before I even begin to talk about today, let me share with you one coming up information which will be of some interest to all of you, and particularly the people here. And it is for the first time in the history of India that United Nations Environmental Program, UNEP, is going to hold a conference with NGT, MOEF, and Ministry of Water Resources in New Delhi from 4th to 6th of March 2016. And I invite all of you on behalf of the organizing committee to that conference, and I would be very proud to see all of you there, because It's the conference where around about 35 countries are participating. And I'm further happy to say that I was speaking at the UNEP headquarters in Nigeria when they felt the need that they should come to India. And I am very proud of my country that people think so high of my country. And therefore, I request all of you this side and that side and everybody to please come during those 3 days. It is at Vigyan Bhavan and Manekshaw Hall, both places. We'll give you the details, we'll send the details to the university, and I will request Khosla to circulate it even to the students who are interested in environmental issues. That's what just the information. Coming to it, I have three basic principles if we are going to talk about environment. First, to my mind, you should care for nature, you should not love nature. Because even in human relationship, they say love goes blind. And it is true that if you do not care for nature, but you love nature, you are likely to diverge from the path of balanced approach. Then your tilt towards nature would be so high that you will not be able to apply the sustainable development principles as my predecessor speakers have just informed you, that where does that balanced path lies. The second thing is that we have to remember fundamentally that we need nature. Nature doesn't need us. Nature can exist without us, but we can't exist without nature. That is the second fundamental principle of environmental jurisprudence as I look at it. The third aspect which I think we must always keep in mind, whether you talk as a professor, whether you talk as a student, whether you talk as a judge, you talk as a lawyer, or you talk as a journalist, is with regard to the approach that you adopt. Now, the approach, if you see, can you say that we will talk of Himalayas and nothing at the foot of the hill, nothing downstream, nothing industries, nothing of the towns, villages, and going right up to the sea. When we talk of environment, can you apply the principle of segregation? Or you have to have the cumulative approach. If you can't set aside, Ganga goes 3,600 kilometers from Gangotri to the Bay of Bengal. How do you manage that? Can you talk of Himalayas and not talk of Gangaji? And when you talk of Gangaji, you will not talk of what is on its beds. Therefore, in my humble way of thinking, an isolated or exclusive approach to a section of environment is fundamentally incorrect. Today, Ganga has the greatest pollution threat from sewage. Now, sewage is not generated by anybody else except the human being. Now, if we want to talk about the figures you just got a little bit, and I would repeat to them to some extent, we are talking of a country which has more than 51,000, as he said, and that's correct because these data also are misleading. Sometimes it is something, sometimes something, but take anything. 51,000 species of plants, 40,000 species plus animals, and out of plants, 33% of species are not found anywhere in the world. That's what India constitutes of. Now, if that is the biodiversity we are talking about, how do we maintain it? Can we maintain it just by protecting the one section, or do we need to spread it over on a comprehensive approach that you carry on development? Who can say, and I don't think you can ever say, in the entire India is just 2% of the world land mass, still 8% of the world's biodiversity, and 11% of the world's plant biodiversity is found in our country. We are into that situation when we are talking of, and just this picture, it was shown on this backdrop. I was looking at it. In fact, if you see, when we held the previous international conference in Delhi, this was not, of course, the picture was quite similar. But just think of this picture and Om Parvat. The Om Parvat, which exists on India-Nepal border, this is at the height of 6,191 meters in district Pithoragarh, Uttarakhand. And the word Om, you imagine this, it is higher than the picture you have in front of your eyes. And see the fineness of the nature that has given us what? The word Om is carved out naturally. It not only has the curve, it has the dot of Om also. That is the nature's gift to this country. And that is what they say when we talk of the word Om. It even shows the incredible natural carving, including the dot in the symbol of Om, which is considered as the sound of cosmic energy and contains all sounds in itself. That's the approach, I think. If we have to maintain that pristine of the nature, what kind of effort is required on our parts? Is this what we're supposed to do, that we blast the hills? In a small district, now Himalayas, if I don't mistake, runs into, I think, more than 6,000 kilometers with a width of 200 to 230 kilometers. If that is what we are dealing with, in a small district like Kinnaur, you're planning to have 13 hydro projects. What do you think you want to do about it? Is this what sustainable development is about? Or sustainable development is that you carry out a study, find out the spots. Nobody can ever say, I don't think any philosopher or any supporter of environmentalism can say that let there be no development. I don't think that anybody would say it. And particularly in India, the legislature doesn't say that. Section 20 of the IGT Act contemplates precautionary principles, sustainable development, and intergenerational equity. It does imply all of them together. Now, if that has to be done, why can't you carry out a study, mark out the 2-3 spots where you can do the least damage to the pristine Himalayan range and still work economically for you? Overlapping of sustainable development should not be intent of eclipsing or completely destroying the nature. Why does you not care for nature so much that you don't even permit a village to have electricity? Therefore, what's the answer? Answer is the middle path. And middle path where you care for nature. Because if the nature is there, you will be there. Otherwise, now let's think of a very small part that is with regard to Rohtang. Of course, it's a matter of sub judice to some extent before us, but it's a matter of public debate. Therefore, I would certainly not mind anybody telling me that, look, man, you're going totally wrong. But do you want, why do people go to Rohtang? What is there in Rohtang? It's the glacier. That's what attracts you to go there. If you will wipe out the glacier, what will you go there for? You will be seeing a rock. And you would like to travel thousands of miles just to see a rock. You want to see that beauty. If all you're going to have is have horse dung there, have diesel smoke there, have all kind of plastic thrown there, you will have no toilets, you will have no kind of any natural protective mechanism. Where would that glacier go? The studies have shown that glaciers all over the Himalayan zone are reducing by the rate of 10 to 12 meters a year. We are just talking of a hill. As just now it was pointed out, if you start dropping on the hills, obviously it will be a ground one day, play football. The question that you have to see is, and which I request this August gathering to debate on seriously, that when we talk of precautionary principle, it will be applicable to any facet of nature. You can't say that it will apply only to industrial growth. You have tannery industries down Jajmao. Since 85, the Supreme Court struggled, stopped throwing pollution into River Ganga. After 20 years, suddenly the boards are compelled to find out by the NGT that please tell us what these industries are using. And everybody says they are not using chromium. Then you appoint an IIT person, find out what it is. And ultimately it's found that the most dangerous chemical that is being used by tannery industries in that section of Jajmao is chromium. And you put 70% of the waste, it generates 39 of every day, out of which you take 90 p and the working, and rest of it in any case you put it to Ganga. So best thing to do is Har Har Gange, do mila, chhod do. So that's it. If we are looking for that, and downstream there is somebody who is drinking that water. It's a fact that you could take Ganga Jal and keep it for years in your house. Today, you cannot take Ganga Jal and keep it in your houses more than 6 weeks. Somebody has filed an application before us that when he wanted to take out the water from Gangaji and put it in the shifting, it had the fecal matter. Now, let's not get into, I don't say, I say you develop and I develop everything that you want to. Why can't you put an STP plant in Hardwar before you throw the entire MLD into the Ganges? That's all it means. Why there has to be such a big policy decision, planning, consultation? UP government gives to the contract as a consultation at the cost of 9 crores to find out how Ganga should be cleaned. And they give some opinion, and central government says this is all crap. So 9 crores gone down the drain. Is this what called sustainable growth? Please utilize that money for the public. Ultimately, government exists for public, institution exists for public, and judiciary exists for public. Therefore, let that public benefit. Let's not stop at the places which will bring nothing but non-result oriented actions. I'm very happy to share with you, and I hope it will be of some use to some people sitting here. The NGT has developed a new concept which my younger brother sitting here would not do sitting as a High Court judge, because I also didn't do it for 20 years of my life when I was judge. Is the consultative process. While we are dealing with Yamuna, we have, and Ganga both, we have asked all state chief secretaries, chief engineers, live on board. For one thing, there are 10 bodies. So you call all the 10. Sit down, have a cup of tea with us. So I spend a lot of money on treating people with lunch and tea. And then we find out from it, tell us what's your problem. Why can't you carry out the directives of the courts? And ultimately, its only basic thing is that you have to take responsibility. If I want to do something, yes, I'll have to take responsibility. Somebody will call me corrupt, somebody will call me, I've taken bribe, this, that, and the other. But you think, have I finished my time going? Okay. I thought you'd say that. Okay. Anyway, as I told you, the time that I have with you today, probably, if you talk of environment, you can't finish E also in one day. The rest of the spellings are very difficult to take over. So I'll just share with you some of the, well, can you imagine, we talk in the world, it was just being pointed out that how conscious our ancestors were about the environmentalism or the environment itself. Today we are talking of climate change, because climate change has a direct impact on Himalayas and the agriculture activity. As I was told that the worst country which will be hit by climate change would be India, though it is not a contributory to green gases to the extent that other developed nations are. That's a hard fact. So you are practically paying for developed nations what they did in the past. Agriculture would be the worst hit thing by virtue of climate change and green gases. Now they are talking today of green gases, and there is something like green gases, and there is something like skyline, which breaks the gap between the sky, and that's how the heat is going. The expected temperature high up is going to be 2%, so 2 degrees, so it's quite a huge gap. Can you believe it? I don't know how many of you had the occasion to go to Meenakshi temple in South. So if you didn't, you can go and see it. I took the photograph there when I went, and that was somebody very kind who showed that to me. He thought I have some sense of environment which I don't have, but he took me to that. And can you imagine, thousands of years back, our ancestors developed what they called as Bhagola Chakra and Karol Chakra. All of them, the Bhagola Chakra has 7-layer system depicted. 2 below the earth, that is sea, below the sea, above the sea levels, earth, and it goes up to space. And they have pointed out, has in all probability, it is such sites of nature which persuaded them to say, and they have provided that what steps should you take. It's a chakra like this, the way you have the roundabout there. So you can imagine 7 rounds, and they have provided each round what protections should you take to prevent discharge of green gases. It gives you the complete philosophy which the whole world is talking about today. They met in Paris and they have talked for days together. I don't know what result it has come down to, except that I blame you and you blame me. That's all it's about. And who's going to pay more money and who will pay less money. But these people have depicted what steps should you take to prevent the entire discharge of gases, and how do you protect the ultimately green belt. This is what our culture is, and coming a little bit back to Himalayas is, as you know, that ICI MOD is the international center for studying the Himalayas. I'm not so sure what they really have achieved till today, but yes, in Nepal in the conference, they did tell me, and I happened to ask one of the specialists from that organization, can you tell me, frankly, whether the glaciers are reducing at the rate what is normally talked about is 10 to 13 meters per year. And I first time saw a scientist and a bureaucrat together. I'm sure you understood what I mean. So they find it very difficult to answer those questions. So he gave me 10 page of note, which I'm carrying. So, but still I didn't find answer to my question in that. And all I could say was that he said about 3 lines, but ultimately some part of the report I would like to read to you is the Himalayan glaciers have retreated remarkably in the past 2 decades. The area loss rates accelerated in the recent decades due to climate change. That's the only answer I've got. So I thought it may make some sense to you because it didn't make much to me at least. So, of course, as you know, that the major finding they have recorded are of different kinds, Bhutan glaciers coming down, shrinking and fragmentation of glaciers from the year 1982 to 2010. Glacier area is 14.8%. The rate of reduction of glacier area in different elevation zones, which varies, glaciers at elevation of 5,500 to 5,200 MAS are reading faster except where the glacier ice is covered by debris. The shift ELA has during the year 90s. With these few things, I would only and very humbly request that when you have your technical sessions following this, you really need to think. The 3 principles that I stated to you, I do not know whether, because I myself, we have the foreign delegates sitting here from various parts of the world. I invite them also for that conference. But what I am trying to say is that I'm not so sure the 3 principles I gave you, whether that make any sense to you except nonsense. But if they make any sense to you, then please keep them in mind and discuss. And the recommendations that you will give, we'll be very happy to receive them. And if they reach me before 3rd week of February, maybe I can circulate them to the international conference where we are expecting the delegations to the extent of 1,600 guests to be participating in that conference. So you and one of the utmost desire is that let us all venture towards this goal. Many of the great achievements were those who kept on, and over the time, we will be able to have the benefit of our hard work. I'm really reminded of the words of a great author who said that when he was talking of, we are talking of forests, we are talking of how nature, how much we care for the Himalayas, how much we care for the water purity, how much we care for other things. But yes, what Martin Luther said appeals to me to be the best, which I think should be the foundation for any environmental legislation. I do feel very proud, and I've said that a number of times at a number of conferences, that NGT Act, whether by mistake, intent, or seriousness, is one of the most outstanding legislation that has come out of Indian Parliament. It is receiving so much of appreciation abroad. Wherever I went, I was surprised that people think so high of Indian higher judiciary and the work that NGT was doing. And its judgments are being referred all over the world practically now. So we think we are on the right path. Maybe a lot of people think, as Mr. Sharma was saying, that we are terribly on the wrong path. But anyway, that's a matter of choice. So what I would only say, and my talk with you this morning with Martin Luther's word, for in the true nature of things, if we rightly consider, every green tree is far more glorious than if it were made of gold and silver. You wouldn't be able to keep them any longer. So the
Incidentally, in UP, they talked about the districts of Jhansi and Agra, where it was stated that the water table is decreasing from 10 to 13 meters per year. And in the coming summer, UP is going to have the greatest difficulty of water because of change in Himalayan ecology. So we can all understand how important the topic of the day is and how important the time chosen is for the topic. And sir, as you said about the deliberations, I think we'll all make every attempt to compile the deliberations and ensure that these are received by you before the international conference. Now, amid the cacophony of noises stemming from controversial politics and volatile economics, the pleasant sound of a bird song comes like a breath of fresh air. Scientists have discovered India's first new bird species in a decade in Arunachal Pradesh called the Himalayan forest thrush. Elsewhere in the country's ecologically rich northeast, researchers have discovered a new genus of tree-hole breeding frog. The message from the Himalayan bird song is that a more affluent India through government efforts and inspired corporate social responsibility can do what it must to preserve India's rich biodiversity. There's more to be discovered, rediscovered, celebrated, and cherished. Now coming towards the end of the session and to present a token of love to our Honorable the Chief Guest, Justice Swatantra Kumar, may I request Dr. Gurjeet from Dialogue Highway to come forward and do us the honors by presenting a book, not exactly a bouquet. Sir, I must share with you all that Dialogue Highway, we actually walk the talk, and I'm sure you people would appreciate that we've not used any biodegradable material in this conference, whether it is be it the folders or the water glasses. May I request Gurjeet to present these are plants, sir. We thought we would not use such flowers. And may I request Sri Naresh Vatsji to come forward to present the souvenir to Honorable Mr. Justice Rajiv Bhalla. All biodegradable. I stand corrected if Shri Ravindra Sharma ji to present a mark of respect to Pro-Chancellor Shri Ravindra Singh ji, sorry, I stand corrected, I'm sorry. Shri Ravindra Singh ji to present a mark of respect to Pro-Chancellor Shri Satish Anand ji. Shri Vishal Anand, Trustee of the Foundation, to present a token of love to Shri Devendra Sharma ji, the soul behind today's event. May I request Mrs. Askinta Kaur to present a token of love to Vice Chancellor Punjab University, Professor Arun Grover. Now to honor the young achiever who has scaled the highest peak Mount Everest at the tender age of 19, may I request Honorable the Chief Guest to do us the honors by presenting a certificate of commendation to Rajat. And to share with you all, on the intervention of Punjab and Haryana High Court, the state of Haryana has, that's Rajat, who scaled Mount Everest at the age of 19. Honorable Chairman, NGC, Honorable President Kumar presented the commendation certificate and token of love. Sir, in Haryana has formulated a uniform policy for giving government jobs to mountaineers who successfully climbed Mount Everest. With my Lord's permission, may I request the opinion makers of Himachal Pradesh to kindly take note of this and ensure that this young boy also gets similar benefits. And now, to say thank you to you all, though a ritualistic task, but the most onerous responsibility to convey our gratitude, may I request Shri Sanjay Sharma, Member Trustee Dialogue Highway, a journalist by profession who's been writing for the Time magazine and BBC, and have been acting resident editor Times of India and resident editor Sunday Guardian, to propose the vote of thanks. Shri Sanjay Sharma ji.
I've been given a ritualistic task to offer vote of thanks, but I feel this ritual is something which attracts the right forces. In this case, the right forces are ones who are concerned about the Himalayas. So I would thank NGT Chairman, Honorable Justice Swatantra Kumar, Honorable Justice Punjab and Haryana High Court, Rajiv Bhalla, Pro Chancellor Mr. Satish Anand, VC Shulk University, Dr. P.K. Khosla, VC Punjab University, Professor Arun Gover, President of the Foundation, Mrs. Saroj Khosla, Justice Retired Asin Agrawal, Punjab Haryana High Court, Mr. Tej Pratap, he was former Vice Chancellor of the Sher Kashmir University, Professor Vijay Thakur, Vice Chancellor of the Non-University, Michel Granger. Michel has come from France. He's one of the foremost painters who paints what Justice Swatantra Kumar says, showing the entire earth, the connectivity, and that's how he paints. He did a wonderful job in Chandigarh yesterday, along with the foremost artist of Punjab in Chandigarh. Genevieve Ansel, she's the sustainability advisor of the mayor of Lyon, and she's also worked with the president of France, Hollande. And Siddhartha has an institution in Bangalore and as a firefighter, and that is working on sustainability and cultural aspects. And he runs a campaign called Millet Campaign, which is catching up. He's also holding one event in a couple of days discussing rivers. Professor, former Director General of CSIR, Professor Ahuja, Padma Shri Anil Joshi, and Mr. Chakwal from Punjab Pollution Control Board. These are the names I have, but I feel there are many people who will make it a very rich experience of this entire process, and most of all, like our students who have come and they will be participating. I'm thankful to them also. Thank you.
acidity? No doubt now the time has come for a steaming cup of tea or coffee on this sunny morning. But before we all join for Chai Pe Charcha, I'd only like to request that before we assemble for tea, we would all of us to assemble at badminton court for a group photo with the chief guest of the day. And now I would request all of us to rise for the national anthem. And may I request few faculty members to come here and take the lead.
पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मांगे गाए तब जयगाथा जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय जय जय।
Thank you all. And now before tea, a group photo. Thank you. We found a laptop of somebody. Please, one can collect.